welcome. How you doing? It's Wednesday, the 21st, first day of summer for those of us here in the Northern Hemisphere. How you doing? It's the Nightly Draw Live with the crackpot cartoonist himself, John Lotshaw. Good to have you here. Glad you could join us. Hold on a second. I need to, yeah, there we go. Get rid of that. See what's going on there. Anyhow, hope you're doing well. Had a great show last night. If you weren't here, I hope you were, because we really did have a good show. I really enjoyed doing that, and I think that's going to be a regular feature from now on, the Total Request Tuesday, where I don't have anything planned. I just come on and take requests and go from there. I think that worked out pretty well, and I really enjoyed that. Anyway, like I said, first day of summer here. Of course, you couldn't tell that here in Georgia because it's been hot and muggy and sticky, just like summer for, well, since Christmas. But it is Georgia, you know, here at stately Lotshaw Manor. But anyway, things are going pretty well. Going to work on the cover for that introductory brochure that we kind of hashed out, thanks to help and feedback from viewers last night. Anyway, hi guys. I see you're checking in. Two of our regulars have signed in, and third person watching, that's probably me. So anyway, just us, but you know, hey, we'll have fun, and I appreciate you guys being here. Anyway, let's get the preliminaries out of the way. Yes, we're going through all that again, and I know I know what you think about it. You are usually thinking, "Oh no, he's gonna start doing the spiel again," and you're thinking,
"It stinks."
Well, I know, but you know what? For the people who aren't watching this live, need to go through it anyway. Okay, first and foremost, we've got appearances coming up, and starting off with Dragon Con. Well, actually, let's start off with the other one, which is the Atlanta Comic Convention. That's the closest one. July 2nd at the Marriott Century Center here in Atlanta, Georgia, down at I-85 and Claremont Road. It's a one-day con, and I'm really looking forward to being there. It's going to be a lot of fun. I've been looking forward to being on this show for a long, long time, and I'm really glad to get in there. So that's July 2nd, 2017. If you're in the Atlanta area, please swing by. It's only $5 to get in, and there's a lot of dealers there with a lot of comic books and other pop culture stuff, so you can fill out your collection while you're there, and there'll be other artists there as well. So come on by. And then, of course, there is, let's see, where's my buttons? Button, who's got the button? Let's see. There we go. All right, Dragon Con. Yes, Dragon Con, September 1st through 4th. Here in Atlanta, probably going to be, as I said, over at the Marriott, not the Marriott, the America's Mart. There we go, America's Mart. I knew I'd get it out eventually. America's Mart. Stream rate. I am streaming at 4,500 kbps. You knucklehead. Yeah, YouTube's complaining again. Oh well, that's what YouTube does apparently. I think you know what I think I need to do. I need to go and get the. This is something completely separate, completely different, completely off topic. But I think eventually what I need to do is I need to get the business class internet connection from Comcast. Because the residential just really isn't designed for what I'm trying to do here. So, oh well, there that is. Okay, moving forward, you know, I need the support of you folks watching this. Not you guys watching it live. And okay, I just got a notice from YouTube that viewers will experience buffering. Are you guys getting any buffering? Guys watching it live, please let me know in the chat if you're getting any buffering. Good grief! Yeah, I'm going to have to get the business class because it's just not for some reason I'm just not getting the bandwidth. For some reason, I am putting. Let's see. Let me just double check here. Double check that. Adjusted data rate 3.6 megabits per second. You know, I don't know what's going on here. I just get the feeling that this is not really designed to do what I'm trying to do. Okay, now it says it's healthy again. This is some strange voodoo, this video streaming. It's just, you know, I don't know. Anyway, Ranma, I'm sorry, I can't read. Ranma, hey, glad you could make it. Long time reader, I'm glad you're here. Just getting the credits roll, but now it's smooth, not buffering. Okay, all right. Well, I just appreciate. Please let me know if you see any buffering. Just put a report in there because I really need that kind of data as we get the kinks worked out of it. Okay. Right. Moving forward, Patreon. Patreon is going to be a very important part of Accidental Centaurs going forward. More and more important. The new pages will be posted at patreon.com/accidental centaurs, excuse me, and it will be available to patrons who pledge to a $5 or month pledge. That's really all it takes is $5 a month. It doesn't take that much, and everything's going to be up there. We're going to, when new pages are finished for as I get them done for or finally finished. For Lair of the Insectars, they will go up there. New pages for 7 Centauri, which I need to work on. Need to get some colors done. Those actually, though, there are 7 Centauri pages going up. They're just not full color. They're line art. There's a new level that's gone up there. $30. I think it's $30 a month. That is a return of NSFW Friday. So, that's a very important way to keep Accidental Centaurs healthy and happy and moving forward. So please consider going over and pledging what you can. Every little bit helps, and I really do appreciate it. I really do. Another important thing is Facebook. Facebook is where pretty much all the announcements about the strip are made. It gets duplicated from there onto Twitter, but this is the main thing. So jump over to facebook.com/accidental centaurs and like that, and you will be able to find out about the streaming, the shows, find out when books are available, etc. All that good stuff goes to Facebook first. So go and check that out. Speaking of books, there's the books. There's Volume 1 and Volume 2 on Lulu. These are full color comic book size books of the first 4 stories and the complete graphic novel of Dictating the Course. And then also, for those who are so inclined, there are the Naughty Bits books, 1, 2, and 3. And those are also available at the link that you see there. Sales of those do go and help, do support Accidental Centaurs, and so I really do appreciate it. These books are all full color, by the way. That's one of the reasons why the prices on them is so much, because color, when you do print on demand, is rather pricey. But let me tell you, these books really are worth it. They really look fantastic. They look great. And then one last thing is, if you are so inclined as you're watching the show and you feel like you want to send a couple of shekels my way, you can always drop it over at the tip jar, which is at PayPal at studiotachyon.com. I do appreciate it. Like I said, I'm busking here, so need to hustle for cash as much as I can. Okay, here we. So now that all of that is out of the way, thank goodness. We can start talking about what we're going to be looking at today. And what we're going to do is going to be finishing up. Let me find it here. Yeah, that's preparation for you. What? Oh, here it is. Here it is. Okay. I had the pad upside down. Okay. Is going to be this. This is going to be the cover of a introductory booklet that I'm going to do for yes, some buffering on here. Okay. Well, we're just going to keep playing. I see we're getting some reports on buffering. I'm going to just keep playing and tweaking every night to find a sweet spot on the bit rate, because it's just going to complain. It's going to complain here. It's going to complain there. Just got to find a sweet spot and then stick with that going forward. So, and now I got green. I got a green light again. It's like I said, it is some kind of strange black magic voodoo, and it just there's no way to really know what's going on, and I can't see it because I'm streaming out and receiving it back on the same connection. So I'm kind of, it's not exactly what you guys are seeing. So anyway, all right, getting back to this. I'm going to do an FAQ, a little FAQ booklet for Accidental Centaurs that will be available at cons. And this will be, so the cover of it, I'm basically going to have the letters here, and I was thinking about the arrangements of the letters. I'm gonna adjust that. But basically have the characters interacting with that, and so what I'm going to work on tonight is this. So let's go to a clean sheet. Let's go to one that doesn't have any gunk on it, like that one. Well, that's just a little rubber piece of eraser. All right, and go with the blue pencil. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on with Sam first. Just because, well, it's Sam. I just love drawing Sam. So, so I think, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have her, now, if anybody has any questions as I'm drawing, feel free to throw them out there on the chat, and I will be happy to divert whatever it is I'm saying and answer your question. So feel free to jump in. Let me throw some music here in the background. I'm still working on the music. Trust me. The music's been a little problematic because YouTube has an automatic has a copyright claim system that's automatic. And what you do with it is if you have some kind of copyrighted material in it that you want to protect, you enter it into the system, and then when shows get processed by YouTube and turned into whatever format YouTube stores their stuff into, it scans it and against the database, and if there's a claim, then it makes a copyright claim based on the settings that are already in there for that piece of music or that piece of video. And so what can happen is that you'll do a show, and I just had this happen last week. where you do a show and upload it, and then you get this notice saying there was a copyright claim, and they're going to run ads and on your show, and they're going to get the money for it because you used the copyrighted music. Yeah, so much for using Yakety Sax. There, so much for using anything from Weird Al, for example. So I did the show Friday, and I had some music in the background, and I upload it, and all of a sudden I get, or I do the show. YouTube does its processing. Then I get this email saying there was a copyright claim. So we're going to take any monetization and give it to the people who have the copyright claim. I was like, but I thought all that music that I had, it was specifically, I got it because it was supposed to be royalty free. So basically I uploaded the music. Then I felt like, and then YouTube had that reaction that Khan had. So and yes, I was waiting for an excuse to play that clip. That is one of my favorite movies. I love that movie. So what I'm trying to do with Sam, and I apologize for being blown out here, is we've been working on that. Is that she's kind of doing the a little more to the right, a little more to the left, that sort of thing. So I don't know if this is gonna work the way that I want it to. It may not. I may end up abandoning this drawing. But that's in fact I may, because I don't like the way that the foreshortening on her arm is coming out. Oh, Wrathacon is definitely the best. And not only I think it's not only the best. Yes, James Rao, for those of you not playing along at home, just said that Wrathacon is probably the best out of the series starring the original ST cast. Oh, it definitely is, and I would make the argument that it is the best of all of the Star Trek movies. And that includes the new ones. As the Star Trek fans call it, the JJ verse. And what's amazing is that it was directed by someone who had never watched Star Trek before. Nicholas Meyer had never seen Star Trek. Now, how anybody can make it through the latter half of the 20th century and never have seen Star Trek, I don't know, but somehow Nicholas Meyer managed to do it. And usually that's a recipe for disaster. If you want proof, go take a look at what was that last one? The one with Tom Hardy. Not Insurrection. What was the one that basically killed off the Next Generation movies? What was the last one? My favorite Star Trek. Renma is asking, what is my favorite Star Trek series besides the original Star Trek? My favorite Star Trek series, besides the original, which I grew up with, so I'm a little biased towards that. But Next Gen, TNG. the funny thing is, I didn't really get it. I never got into Enterprise. Has been growing on me. The first few seasons of Enterprise, I thought were just bland. They weren't bad. They were just bland. It's like, well, okay, meh. It was there. Then they did the Xindi arc, and I thought, okay, now they're finally got something, because they were going to do this temporal Cold War storyline, and it went nowhere. And as a showrunner, Rick Berman is a great accountant, and he really didn't. DS9, I'll get back to DS9 in a second too, because DS9's grown on me as well. But Enterprise, once they did the Xindi arc and they brought Manny Koto on, and he started doing those mini arcs, like the 4 or 5 episodes he did with Brent Spiner as about the augments, where he managed to tell the story about the other genetically altered, enhanced Supermen from Khan's era, and Data's backstory, and why Klingons didn't have bumpy foreheads in the original series. Being able to pull all that off in one is pretty impressive. So I gotta say that I was pretty impressed by that. I'm going to abandon this one because it's just not working out. I don't like the angle on her. DS9 again. DS9. I didn't when DS9 came out. I really didn't like it because it would just seem to me actually to be derivative of Babylon 5, and I preferred Babylon 5. Because what I liked about Babylon 5 was the story. There was a story arc. And I got to make a note here of something. They got DS9 again. Was another thing where it kind of stumbled around for a few years, and then they came up with the Dominion War storyline, which ran over multiple years. And that one's been growing on me also. And the animation, the animated series. No, you're not going to get booed. The animated series should have been a lot worse than it was, because we are talking about Filmation here. And I don't know if you knew this or not, but the original concept was that every crew member would have had a kid sidekick. That would have been a little mini version. There would have been a little mini Kirk and a little mini Spock and a little mini McCoy that would have been running around with them, a little mini me. And Roddenberry said no. I got my issues with Gene Roddenberry as because he built himself up to be the great bird of the galaxy and all of that. But at least he had the integrity to say, no, let's not do that for the animated. Let's treat the animated series like a 4th season of the original series, and I really, really respected that. And there's some really good episodes in there. There's of course, the Yesteryear episode, which everybody knows about. With that version never happened, so we can be grateful for that. There was, the Yesteryear, which was the story where Spock has to go back and save himself as a kid. There was another one called the Counterclock Incident, where the Enterprise gets pulled into an alternate antimatter universe where time runs backwards, and we meet Captain April, who was the original name of the commander of the Enterprise in Roddenberry's original proposal, his original outline for Star Trek, the character's name was Robert April, and so there was a sequel to the Tribbles. There was a sequel to it was called More Tribbles, More Troubles, and we got to see a Glommer, which was the Klingons' genetically engineered Tribble predator. And I'm going to take my glasses here. Q, the greatest character ever created. Yes, you know. Well, I don't know if he's the greatest character ever created. He's definitely a typical Roddenberry character. And the thing I think that makes Q work is not so much the concept of the character, but the actor that plays him. John Delancey, just in the hands of another actor, Q wouldn't have worked. But John Delancey just brought something to that part. Imbued it with something that made it more than the sum of the words on the page. So the greatest character ever created? Maybe not. I mean, there's a guy named Shakespeare here who might disagree with you on that one, but as a great character in Star Trek, definitely a great Star Trek and a great antagonist, because as with all good antagonists, he's not black or white. There's shades of gray. I mean, you look at characters like villains like Moriarty in Sherlock Holmes, who I love reading. I love Sherlock Holmes. Moriarty is a very complex character, and he's not black or white. The recent incarnations of the Master on Doctor Who, which was very inspired by Moriarty. Again, very nuanced, not exactly black or white. There's some shades of gray in there, not 50 of them, but the shades of gray, and that makes a character more interesting, because the mustache twirling villain only goes so far, and and I'm looking forward to the opportunity to create a character like that for year 2. Oops, did I just drop a spoiler? Maybe. No comment there. And Xanatos from Gargoyle, wasn't that Jonathan Frakes? I think Frakes did the voice for that character, did he not? Xanatos on Gargoyles, who's just been put up as another good example of a character that's not of an antagonist. Because there's a difference between an antagonist and a villain. An antagonist is just someone who opposes the main character, the protagonist, and a villain is just a bad guy. But an antagonist could be a good guy. I mean, think about, for example, Hannibal Lecter. The movies about Hannibal Lecter. Whoever is opposing him is not a villain, because the villain is the star of the story. But they are the antagonists. So I remember when I was in high school, and that light went off. I said, "Oh, wait a minute! Wow, you could have a bad guy be the protagonist, and the good guy be the antagonist. That's pretty cool." So anyway, all right, back to drawing. So I'm gonna do this as a stick figure. Because I think that was the problem, was that on the first one is that I didn't do it as a stick figure, and that caused problems. That's better. Already I can tell that one's better. Now, I'm doing these bigger than that I'll actually need, because what I'll do is I will draw these, the characters as separate elements, the letters, the F, A, and Q as separate letters, and then I'll composite all of that together in Photoshop. So, hooray for Photoshop. But I think that's a lot better. I like that pose much better. So I'm gonna get those magic globes in there. Alright, time to switch pencils. Yeah, I like this. I like this pose a lot better. Yes, that's correct. The idea is to draw each individual character in their pose. Like for example, I will the next one that I draw, if I draw it on the air, but it will be Alex carrying one of the periods. And then Lenny trying to hold up one of the letters. Then the letters. And then each one of these, I'll go back. Probably transfer these to Bristol. And then thank you. Facial expressions are something that I've always wanted to have be something that I've worked on, because there's not a whole lot of, in my style, there's really not a whole lot of realism, a lot of detail. So I've got to try to make up for it somehow. And the way that I've found that I can make up for it and do a pretty good job of it is with the expressions. And Lenny is probably the best example of that, because by his nature, he's so rubbery. He's like Jim Carrey. He's got this rubbery face, and I can shape him and mold him, and so there's no doubt whatsoever about what his mental state is, because he can't help but express it physically. And that's something that you can do with a cartoon character, is you can have that kind of physicality. It's difficult to have it with a human actor, a physical actor, in making a film. But I can do some of that with these characters, even though I do try to keep them grounded in a reality. There is an elasticity to these characters, so I can squash and stretch a face. I can pull it out of, to surprise. I can pull Alex, like for example, like that. I can really, but that's an extreme, and that's only in an extreme situation. So what I have to do is try to get the facial expressions within the context of the confines of the skeletal structure to be as expressive as possible. And I kind of have a limited palette to work with, just because I don't have, because everybody looks the same in my stuff. That's I'm not complaining. That's just the state. That's just the style that I deal with. So it's taken 20 years. So there's some cartoon physics. Yeah, well, basically it's Roger Rabbit physics. You can do anything you want as long as it's funny. James was asking if there's cartoon physics involved. So yeah, it's like Roger Rabbit said, I can do anything as long as it's funny. So that's not necessarily the case with Accidental Centaurs, but it is. I can break the rules and do anything I want if it serves the story and it serves the characterization. So I will go and break my rules. I will go and turn their skull to rubber so that the face can stretch out if it suits the needs of the story. Now this isn't purely necessary for the sketch that I'm doing at this point, but I just want to, because I want to do this. So there we go. Sam kind of directing the show, as it were. So this will get, and when this gets drawn or inked and then scanned down, it's going to be physically, she's probably going to be physically about that high. So I'm going to take this and drop it by a third in each resolution, in each direction. So it's going to be 1/9 of the area of this on the finished page. So this line, I could make this line nice and thick, and it's going to be nice. It's going to be very thin, and then something like this little line here to differentiate out her belly. That's going to be a wafer thin when it gets into the final version. And I need to work on this up here, because this has always been a problem for me. Is the thumbs. I'm all thumbs when it comes to drawing thumbs. All right, that's a little better. All right. Yeah, Lenny. Well, Lenny is all cartoon physics because he comes from a realm where the rules of physics as we know them don't exist, and he's also able to manipulate those rules. Because really, he's not really there. What you see of Lenny, I see as is really just the to steal from Douglas Adams, not like I haven't before. Is the three-dimensional protrusion of a multi-dimensional being into our reality. So Lenny's not really. He's kind of a projection. He's kind of like a tesseract, which is a projection of a three-dimensional. Well, anyway. Easier questions. Don't most cartoonists, James Rao of Los Angeles, California asks, don't most cartoonists usually have to deal with four fingers? Okay, here's the deal with the four fingers. In animation, you usually have a hand that looks, well, that looks like it's been amputated, but it is usually like this. And the reason for that is that that's one less that they have to draw. And when you're having to draw 24 frames every second, you know, if you can shave a finger off, that much better. However, there are quite a few cartoons that don't do that. Popeye didn't. Popeye had four fingers and a thumb. Hanna-Barbera shows, for example, like Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo, four characters and a thumb. Peanuts, Charles Schulz was always adamant about making sure that Charlie Brown and Lucy and Linus had four fingers and a thumb. My rule here is in Accidental Centaurs is that Lenny has three fingers. Has three. You know, has this. Alex and Sam have this, and the reason why is Alex and Sam are physical, ephemeral beings, so they have a four-fingered and thumb hand. Lenny is a magical being, so he has the Mickey Mouse hand. It's a little subtle thing, but if you go back and you look at the Accidental Unicorn, when Sam turns into the unicorn, since that is a magical being, she loses a finger from her hand, and she has the three-fingered hand like Lenny has. So it's not a hard and fast rule. As I said, that came from animation in the days when all of that was done manually. So there's the deal with the number of fingers. When you see a character in Accidental Centaurs that has a Mickey Mouse hand, then that means that it is it's a magical being. And if so, sprites, Jinn. If we had them, leprechauns. In addition to looking for people who were trying to steal their cereal, all of them would have the Mickey Mouse hands, and then anybody else would be basically have a human hand. So there that is. And nobody's ever caught on that until until I said anything. So so much. It's not much of an in joke when nobody gets it, is it? No, it's not. Okay. So basically, Lenny, is it all there? No, yeah, somebody's going to pay for that one, Dave. Somebody's going to pay for that one, and I think we know who it is. Okay. Oh man, I just got this ringing in my ear. I don't know what's going on. It's just this sudden tinnitus in my ear. I don't know what's happening. Oh well, at least my left arm isn't numb anymore. That's a joke. That's a joke. Not a very good one either. Okay, so Alex. So I liked the pose that I had in the previous yesterday's, where Alex is. So what we want to do is convey a great weight. So we'll kind of do this. The Seavash have 4 fingers. Those are biological beings. They are not magical. Now, when you draw a character that's carrying weight, the thing is to give them an S curve. Where is that copy of that book? Oh my. Richard Williams did a fantastic book. It's actually the notes from a master class that he gives. Richard Williams is the animator who did Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and he does a master class several times a year around the world, and he took the notes from that class and he did a book, and it's called. I don't even remember what it's called. But it's Richard Williams. But and one of the things is, one of the first basic lessons in there, and it's a basic lesson of animation, is conveying weight. And when you carry a weight, your body deforms in order to try to carry that weight. And so that's going to be the trick, is to get Alex's body to deform properly. So like you get the impression of this period that he's carrying is a couple of 100 pounds of rock. So oh, one of the things I forgot to mention is that I'm actually going to be teaching a class in cartooning here shortly. Mentioned this last night, but it's going to be at in Ringgold, Georgia, which is just south of Chattanooga, and that's my old stomping grounds. I grew up in the next town over from Ringgold, and I'm really looking forward to going over there. It's going to be at the Catoosa County Library, and that's going to be a week from today. So next Wednesday there will be no live show because I'm going to be tired because I'm driving out early Wednesday morning, and then I'm heading back Wednesday night after all of that. You're very, very welcome for all of this. I'm glad you found it educational and entertaining too, I hope. But that's the whole point of this, is to let you know, see what I do, and not only to promote my work, but also to promote the art form as well. So I love getting questions from you guys, and going way off topic, and another thing when you're conveying a character carrying a great weight is that they will spread their stance out in order to kind of spread the load. So I need to and I really can't do that with, and I'm trying to do that here with Alex's back legs, because in this pose, I'm having Alex try to take a step forward, and so what I need to do is really get his shoulders up, because when you're carrying a great weight like that, you're like this, and you scrunch your shoulders up to try to pull up as much as possible. So I'm trying to get his shoulders up here as much as I can, which means his pectoral muscles are going to be compressed in there. And of course his arms are much bigger. Now I should be showing, there's if he was not going to be wearing a shirt, there'd be all kinds of veins popping out from the strain of the weight of this doohickey. And that's a technical term, by the way, doohickey, dooflotchy, what have you, is the term that would be used in Big Lebowski, the what have you. Worry about the exact placement of the pupils when I do the color, and then it needs to be gritting his teeth. There's a name for those little beads of sweat that pop off of a cartoon character when they're under stress, and I can't remember what it is, but it was the term was created by Mort Walker, who created Beetle Bailey. No, they're not Grawlixes, because a Grawlix is well, this is a Grawlix. These are the Grawlixes. The Grawlix is the little cartoon swearing. Which was something you saw a lot of in Beetle Bailey, now that I think about it. Backstage at the Strips. Thank you. Thank you, Dave. I'm glad you came up with that. I was trying to think of the name of that book. Backstage at the Strips. That's right. That's absolutely right. I met Mort Walker once at the Rubens. And I've met his sons too, and so quite a few folks that work for him, like Bill Janoka is a really great guy. I've met his sons. Whoa, what's going on here? Am I? Oh. I almost lost the microphone here. Microphone's barely hanging on. Just barely hanging on there. Hold on a second. I gotta adjust the microphone. Oh, you can see me doing that. That's right. I can see. Yeah. Hi, I'm adjusting the microphone. Did I get to the? No, I did not get to the Rubens this year. I really regretted that because it was in Portland. I've always wanted to go to Portland. This is a beautiful city, of course, and I've never been to the Northwest. I'm hoping to go next year. Next year, it's the rumor, which has not, but I've been hearing it from several reliable sources. The scuttlebutt is that it is going to be in Jersey City. Yeah, I know, Jersey City. Why on earth? Why on earth? Jersey City, New Jersey? Well, yeah. It's actually right across the river from Manhattan, and it's the from Lower Manhattan, in fact. So it's the last stop on the PATH train before it goes under the Hudson and comes out in I think they're still calling it World Trade Center. The whole complex is called the World Trade Center. The World Trade Center station. They had it there in 2010. And I didn't get to go. That would have been my second Rubens. And I didn't get to go that year. So I hope that's where it's going to be. They try to every year do it East Coast, West Coast. For those of you playing along at home and may not know what I'm talking about, the Reuben Weekend is the annual meeting for the National Cartoonist Society, which somehow lowered its membership standards and let me in back in 2009. And the Reuben Weekend is called Reuben Weekend because that we have a banquet in which we give away the Reuben Awards. And the Reuben Awards, there's the Reuben Award, which is the Cartoonist of the Year award, and then there's the what we've renamed as the Silver Reubens, because everybody was calling them Reuben Awards anyway. So we just said, if we're tired of correcting people. No, they're not the Reubens. They're the Division Awards. So we just decided we're just going to stop correcting people, and we're going to call them the Silver Reubens. And those are the Division Awards. That's for newspaper panel and greeting cards, newspaper illustration, things like that. And they've just added one. Actually, they're still kind of working the bugs out of it. So we have a big get together in some city. Usually we alternate between the East and the West Coast. And We'll do a weekend of speakers and things like that. Then we'll have the big banquet. And all right, there's Alex. I think I'm kind of happy with that. Very happy with that. In fact, I might even leave the little Grolixes in. I might just do that. I might just leave those in. Great Reuben stories. Yeah, but, well, you know, some of them, what happens at the Reubens stays at the Reubens. Because the NCS, my description of the NCS is, this microphone is really about to lose it. I usually describe the NCS when people ask me what is it. I tell them it's a drinking club with a drawing problem. And that sounds sarcastic and facetious, but it's not far from the truth, because that's actually how the NCS got started. They've never had the Reubens in Atlanta. We're actually going to, try and lobby them to bring it here, because we've got SCAD, Savannah College of Art and Design, and they would really be a great asset to partner with. The first time that I went to the Reubens, I met Mike Peters. Mike Peters is the multi Pulitzer winning editorial cartoonist for the I think he's still at the Dayton Daily News, and he's one of the great editorial cartoonists. He also does the strip Mother Goose and Grimm, and he's just a great person. Bundle of energy, even though I think he's about 70 years old now, just constantly just bouncing off the walls. And I'll never forget when I met him. It was after the banquet, because after the banquet you go around and you schmooze. That's what you do. And I went over to him and I introduced myself, first time member. And he said, and I said, I just want to let you know you're partially responsible for me being here. And Mike Peters is one of those kind of people who has that ability when you're talking to them to make you feel like you are the only person on earth, and he's listening so intently to you. He's got that kind of a skill. And he said, I'm responsible for you being here. How's that? And I explained to him that back in the 80s, I had a teacher who was a gifted program teacher, and she collected a lot of my drawings. She went to a conference where he was the keynote speaker, and he said, "Oh, I remember that conference." I said, "Well, she gave you some of my drawings, and you wrote a letter that you sent to her to give to me, and it was very encouraging. And you mentioned, if I was, kept at it, then I might one day be a professional cartoonist and join the National Cartoonist Society. And here I am." And he just, "Oh, that is great! That is a great story. I've got to go tell my wife. That is great. You made my night." And he goes bouncing off, boing, 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 goes off. And I was like, "What just happened?" That was Mike Peters. That's what happened. I've gotten to meet so many great people at the Reubens. In 2012, Tom Richmond, who was president of the NCS at the time, asked me to speak about webcomics and making money on webcomics and how to do it. And I was on a panel with Dave Kellett, who does Sheldon and Drive. And I was also on the panel with Mike Jancy. Mike Jancy does The Norm. And he was a professor at the time, he was a professor at SCAD in Savannah. And this was 2012 in Las Vegas. So they went first, and they kind of gave this 30,000-foot view of web comics, and you've got all this freedom. You don't have to deal with a syndicate. You can determine your own schedule and all of that. And then I get up there and I said, "Okay, here's how you make money on web comics. You do books." and here's how you make a book. And you take InDesign and you load it up, and then you do this, and you do this, and you do this. And throughout the whole thing, I mean, it's just, I said, keep your hands and feet inside the car, because this is going to be a roller coaster ride, because this is going to go fast and furious. And throughout the whole time, I don't see any faces, because this room filled with all of these well-known, prominent cartoonists, they're all heads down, scribbling notes, furiously trying to keep up with what I'm saying. And then later, afterwards, this gentleman comes up to me. Thing about him, I remember he was bald. He was bald, and he said, "I wanted to thank you for your talk. It was very educational. I learned a lot." I said, "No, thank you very much." He holds out his hand and says, "Hi, I'm Jim Davis." Jim Davis? Garfield Jim Davis. Yeah, that was him. That just blew my head exploded at that point. Jim Davis. Here's this guy who's worth $1 billion, literally, thanks to Garfield, and he's learning from me. So it's just I've gotten to know so many people that I never thought I would have. Growing up, I read Mad Magazine religiously. I'd ride my bicycle down to the Revco and plunk down my whatever it was, 65 cents, 85 cents, $1.25, whatever it was, cheap, and get a Mad Magazine, and there would be the name Nick Meglin, the editor, and he wrote a lot of the stuff, and now I see him all the time at the Rubens, and he always insults me, which is fine, because I turn around and I insult him back, because that's what he's wanting. He's wanting you to, and then afterwards, we're trading quips back and forth the whole night, and I'm trying to keep up with, the guy who is the editor of Mad Magazine. This is, talk about, an unarmed man in a battle of wits. That's me. And but then at the end of it, he always comes in and gives me a big hug. Says, "John, I'm so glad to see you. It was fantastic to see you." So getting just the fact that I know Nick Meglin and I count him as a friend, I never would have imagined that. Let's see. So you still found out what magic Bill uses to stay his. Yes, I do. I know exactly. Bill is meticulously organized. He has a system, a very rigid system down for how he does the strips, and how he does them, and he stays on target. And it comes down to being very organized and very disciplined to stay at it. And I couldn't do that, because I'm like Mike Peters. I'm bouncing off the walls all the time, just all over the place. Bill is rock steady. He's just, stay the course, wouldn't be prudent, all of that. He's just, although he would flip out if I was comparing him to one of the Bushes. But he's very, very meticulous about his schedule, and very very disciplined. I'd love to go meet up with him every now and then and go out to lunch. No, he doesn't do it. He doesn't have the time, which is fine. I respect that. I understand that. We get together every now and then, and he builds in places where he can get away. But he's very, very disciplined, and that's what it takes. That's what you have to do in order to maintain the workload that he does. And I call him the hardest working man in comics. Whenever somebody, whenever he finishes a strip, somebody comes out and puts a cape on him. I'm waiting to see if anybody gets that joke. So anyway, that's but that's what it is. It's all discipline, and Bill is very, very disciplined. Which I'm kind of envious, because I know I will never be. Yeah, James Brown. That's right. Very good. Very good. I'll take obscure and stupid musical references for 400, please, Alex. Okay, well, it's getting late. We've been on the air for an hour and 12 minutes. and it has just flown by. And I've really enjoyed it. I hope that you have. And we will do this again in 23 hours. So, next week. So, is he superhuman? No, Bill's not superhuman. He's just disciplined. If discipline is his superpower, then I guess he is. But he's just very, and he's been doing it for so long, because he's been doing Fast Track since 1984. He's been doing Kevin and Kel since 1995. So he's got a system. He's got a system, and he's very good at it. But anyway, as I was saying, yeah, we'll be back in 23 hours, roughly, at 10 o'clock 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific, 2 a.m. Universal Coordinated Time. For those of you who have to figure it out for your own time zone. Thanks a lot. It's been fun. And so until next time, when we will, I'm going to probably, I don't know what I'm going to do. We might do might do Lenny, might do for this, might do something else, but always willing to go off subject and end up who knows where no man has gone before. So until tomorrow, good night. Drive safely and keep drawing.